Hi YouTube, it's Angel, and today's topic video is going to be about spirit guides. I believe, and from all of the reading and literature that I've studied, we all have spirit guides. Some of them are with us from the time we're born right through to the end of our life. They're generally referred to as guardian angels and tend to be our passed over loved ones, like our ancestors, part of our lineage. At least this is what I believe, and this video is in no way discrediting other belief systems that are out there. This is just from my experience, what I've observed when I do a reading and noticed, who's around the person when I'm doing a reading. What I do find is grandmothers, grandfathers are generally that have passed on are almost always present with the client when they come for a reading. Also, sometimes it will be an aunt, more so than I've seen uncles tend to be a guardian angel of a person. A mother, if a mother has passed over, when the person has been really young. Also, the mother will stay around their children or grandchildren, like the grandmother, right? So family members tend to be part of our auric field throughout our lifetimes, and they guide us in different ways. Sometimes we're not aware of the guidance. It's very subtle. So I'll give you an example of that. My mom has passed over, and so she'll come to me in the nighttime when I'm sleeping, and a lot of guardians, guides, and spirits will visit me during the night. I'm going to talk a little bit more about like a visitor I had a few nights ago. But my mom will often come to me in the middle of the night or early morning and just read a book to me sometimes. And it's just like a very positive book that she reads about like how I'm going to succeed in the world or whatever. And I can't really hear the words, but I can feel the message is just like, you're going to do great, you're doing awesome, look at the story of your life unfolding. Like, this is a book she reads to me at the foot of my bed. And so without me being a medium and not being aware of that, you might just get this same scenario happening to you without knowing that that's where that positive energy is coming from your passed over mother or father or grandmother or grandfather. So this is how guardian angels will work. They support you in your growth and development, and they're always close by for you to have emotional support. So that's nice to know in a lot of ways, because it doesn't make you feel like you're alone in the world, because the world can get really difficult and tough. So having a belief that you have someone from your family that you really belong to or feel more connected to, being a backing and being a support, I personally find very comforting. This book is an interesting book. This is called the Book of Angels, and it talks about all of the angels in like the Kabbalistic healing tradition. So in this book, this is a non-profit organization based out of Montreal, Canada, and it's called Universe City Michael, I think, is the name of the non-profit. And they've done extensive research in all of the angels, all their names, their attributes, how it relates again to the Sephiroth, or the this system here. So in each, where are we at? Each Sephiroth has a planetary alignment. It has specific ruling angels, and then within it, sub-angels, and each one of these Sephiroths are actually associated with with different people. So depending again on when you were born and whatnot. So in this system that they've come up with, and I think it's not that they just made it up, they discovered this ancient knowledge and are just sharing it with us. You're basically born with an angel based on your time, like, you know, digital time or analog time, and then also the month. And so there's three things. So you get three angels associated with you. So it's your calendar year for the physical aspect of you. So it's like between April 21st and April 25th, you're assigned an angel. Okay, so it's sort of like that. That's the physical angel. Then the emotional angel is based on just the month you were born and the day you were born. So if you're born on April 13th, you would have an angel assigned to you. And then the time you were born, so between 12 and 12:19. So it's very aligned, almost similarly to astrology, how you have like a sun sign, a moon sign, a rising sign, and they're all based on time of birth, all of that kind of stuff. So they believe you're assigned 3 angels, and then if you go to this website, you can actually, it's very easy, ucm.ca. You'll actually be able to put in your date and time and all that and figure out what your angels are, and they have like a little button you can press so that you can say or hear what the angel's name is, and calling on that angel will help in whatever area of life that you are not succeeding in. So because each angel has certain attributes, and if you are not aligning with that vibration, or you're not working with your guides, then what will happen is you'll get these negative things happening in your life. So by chanting the angel's name according to this system, that will bring more of that energy to you, to turn it around in a positive way. So that's a belief system. The belief system that your angels are your ancestors is another for spirit guides. And then there are the animal totems or animal medicine guides. They, from my experience, tend to come in at different times of your life when you're in different stages. Again, there are belief systems out there, you know, that say you have the 9 totem animals that are with you throughout your whole life. Particularly the one on your right and left side, and those 2 animals will help balance your male and female energy. And there'll also be animals that you've been drawn to or are in your immediate life. So for me, like deer is one of mine, and lynx, and I love both those animals. Deer have always been around me. Like this morning, for example, I was drinking tea and there was like 3 deer in my backyard. That's just very common. Deer have literally always been in my life, and I've always absolutely loved them and respected them. And then lynx is one of my favorite animals, and that's the left side of left totem. Okay, so there's the animal totems, the guardian angels that happen to be your ancestors, and then we have this system here that talks about how you're each assigned just specific angels based on more of a universal system. And then there's just random guides, I call them. So for example, I'll talk about what happened to me a couple of days ago. I woke up in the middle of the night and there was a guide at the end of my bed. He was sitting, he was smoking a pipe, and he looked very tribal. He had a loincloth, he was very small frame, dark skin, long hair. He had like ribbons of cloth in his hair that were white, blue, and red. And you know, I wasn't afraid, which I know would sound kind of odd because it's like 3 a.m. and I'm woken up, and it was the smell of the smoke that woke me up, and I still don't know what that smoke was. It wasn't something I had ever smelt before. So I was like, okay, what's going on? And then I could see through my third eye that this man was sitting at the end of my bed, and he said to me, and his words have sat with me for the last few days. I shared it with my husband when I woke up, and we've changed our habits because of this visitor. this guide. So he said to me in the middle of the night, he said, you long for deep connection in your world. And then he showed me scenes of his lifetime where people were really connected, beside the fire, and they would talk to each other. And when they wanted time alone or to themselves, they would respect the other person or people in the group and just say, I'm going to go leave now and have time to myself. And they would honor that person or people around them and get up and leave and go have time to be by themselves. And then when they were with other people, they would actually be present with those people. And then he showed me myself, being on my phone. I'm not going to pretend I'm not addicted to my phone. He just showed me myself being on my phone, and he showed me a scene of my daughter and the little girl that comes over from across the street, and they were dancing in front of me. And this had happened the night before. And they were dancing, and they were trying to get my attention. And I had a friend texting me from Alberta who I hadn't talked to in a really long time. And she started sending me astrological charts, and I really love talking to her because she actually understands how to delineate charts, so we do it together, and it's, I like learning astrology, so, her perspective and my perspective combined create a different perspective. So it seemed really important at the time, and I was texting her. And meanwhile, the kids were just dancing and joking around, and they were really trying hard to get my attention, but I wasn't really giving them my full presence. I was kind of like, oh, haha, and then back on the phone, and oh, haha, and back on the phone. And my husband was in the corner playing chess on his phone. And so he showed me this scene of how, we are in our world. He thought it was bizarre. He just thought, your attention is always divided. It's fragmented, is the words he used. And you dishonor each other all the time. And then I felt this sense of almost shame, like that I had done that to the girls, and that I had done that even to my husband because he was also in the room. And it wasn't anything I hadn't already thought about. I mean, the guilt trip goes around on all the time about how people care more about their phones than their relationships and all of that. But then he said to me, it's nothing to feel guilty about. Things are just different now. That's just the way that it is. Your guilt is worse than the actual act of, of being that way. We have lost honor and respect in our culture, but it isn't necessarily our fault. It's just the way our world is advancing. We're reaching out to multiple people all the time. And I'm not trying to give excuses for what we choose to do, because it is a choice, ultimately. And he showed me a way that makes more sense, just of how if you want to be alone, then respect the people around you and get up and say, I'm going to take some time for myself right now, and go in the bedroom and shut the door and be on my phone, rather than, if that's how I want to choose to be alone, being alone with a book, being alone in nature, being alone on your phone, whatever it is, just get up out of the room and actually honor the time you are in the space with someone. He showed me the value of that. So this type of guide just passed through. Like, I don't expect him to come back. He just, after we had that conversation, or he showed me the scenes, he got up and he left. And for me, it was very powerful, and for my husband as well, when I told him what happened in the morning. And I'm very fortunate to have a husband that doesn't, lock me up for the things I tell him, because it is peculiar to share this type of information, and I feel vulnerable sharing it with you. But visitors come for everyone all the time, and whether we remember it, the dream time or nighttime for me is in early morning is when it happens the most, but it happens throughout the day as well. And it's just a matter of training your senses to pick up on it. And why would you want to do that? Well, for me personally, guides do help me. They guide you. That's literally the name. Guardians, they're teaching you something. They're helping you in some way. And this is not for everyone, for sure. But for example, when I do a reading with people, their guides come in and tell me things to help with the reading. So I have my own guides, and then people have their own guides. But ultimately, they're in the spirit world. Sometimes, again, it's passed over people. The guide that particularly came that night was from another time. He had lived on Earth, but he was from another time. And then there's the guides that, you know, have never lived on Earth. And they tend to have information that's really removed from earthly issues or small-minded, earth-bound concepts. And, you know, they can be called the angelic realm, particularly the Archangels minus Metatron and Sandalphon. Like, they have lived in an Earth's life, those two particular brothers. But the rest of the Archangels, like Raphael, Ariel, Azrael, all of those Archangels have not lived on Earth before. So they, and they have a different energy of guidance. And what I mean by that is, what I've noticed personally is it's just lighter. It's not as persistent, or it's not like, it doesn't have a human egoic tone to it. So I don't call myself a medium particularly, because I don't really like working with passed over people, because sometimes there's still some ego there. A lot of times passed over people will attach to people they've hurt, for example. This is just one example. And to me, that's egoic. They want that person to forgive them, but it's not really about that person. It's more about them wanting to feel better about what they did to that person. That's just one example. Not all passed over people are unenlightened, of course. And then there's, you know, spirit guides from the earth, like fairies or elementals, that have messages about Earth more related to the environment, like the water protectors or the forest protectors, tree protectors, the stone people, those kind of spirit guides. So it's a very huge topic, and one of the questions, or one of the reasons why I wanted to do this video, is just to leave you with the idea that there's more than just you. And I get the question a lot, like, how do I connect with my spirit guides? And there's a simple exercise that I'm going to leave you with that is quite easy to do. Anyone can do it. It takes about, you know, a good 45 minutes, you know, of uninterrupted time. And you might have to do it more than once. But what I recommend is getting a journal. You can do this in two ways. You can do it as a sleep exercise, so you go to sleep, and before you go to sleep, you say, I want to know what my spirit guide's name is, or who they are, and you leave a notebook and a pen beside your bed, and you go to sleep with the faith that you're going to get that answer, that name, or be introduced to your spirit guide in the dream world. If that doesn't resonate with you, you can do that by before you go into meditation. The same thing, the notebook, the pen is beside you. You go into meditation with the intention of meeting your spirit guide, introducing yourself to your spirit guide, getting to know them. And whatever name comes up during that meditation, and this is why no interruptions is important. So, you know, put your phone on Wi-Fi, make sure no one's going to be contacting you. I would even recommend unplugging the Wi-Fi, just so the energy of Wi-Fi is not intruding in your meditation. You can put some nice music on without words, just like classical music or jazz or something that's really sort of more background music that can help you relax. Some of the music I talked about on a previous video, like the binary beats that helps you go into theta waves or deep meditation. Something like that. Just no kids are allowed in, no pets, nothing. You're just clear out a nice space for yourself. It's probably better to do this when your kids aren't home, because when you go into deep meditation, pets, children get attracted to that. That's why you get those interruptions right away. It isn't because they're trying to stop you from going deeper. It's just when you go inward like that, it's almost like a magnet, okay? So that's just a little exercise that I have known to work very, very well. Is just asking to meet your spirit guide. Like, I'm ready to meet you. I want to know your name. I want to know what you're here to teach me. I'm open to listening. Now, sometimes it doesn't happen right away. Sometimes you won't get a name, you won't get anything. You might just fall asleep in the meditation. You might not remember a single dream. But if you commit to this practice and do it every single day until you, like, just commit to it. Like, I'm going to do this every single day until I meet my spirit guide. I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to get discouraged. Like, eventually you will have to show yourself to me, because sometimes the guides need to know you really are committed. But it's not even really the guides need to know that. It's more that you need to be committed to yourself, to that development, that inner work. And if you are not used to doing that, sometimes you have to detox first. So sleep, you might need more sleep. You might need to rest more. So the meditations will end up being sleep related rather than actually going into deep meditation where you remember anything. Same thing with your sleep. If you're going to bed a little bit early doing this practice, you might just find you sleep like a rock. Well, that just might be your body needs to rest. And once your body's super, super rested, then you're going to start getting those messages. I also highly recommend, if you're going to do this as a meditation practice, to do a little bit of cardio before. Go for a brisk walk, do some dancing, waving your hands up in the air, just to tire your body up. Like when I teach yoga, that's super important. Before going into meditation, you should always, always, always tire the body. Otherwise, your mind's just going to be way too active and you're not going to really get anywhere. Avoid coffee, stimulating things like that. Even garlic and onions can create like an active mind. So avoid those things before your meditation to get a deeper, deeper meditation. But it is beneficial to get to know your guides. It's something that I use every single day. I work with my guides all the time. And I just find the value of it is you tend to make less mistakes in life. Not that you don't make mistakes, because I definitely ignore my guides as well. But when you have that communication with your inner guidance, because ultimately it's you communicating with your inner self, and how that presents itself, whether it's as an angel or a guy with a loincloth at the end of your bed, it's you having a conversation with a deeper part of yourself to get further or learn more about why you're here, what your purpose is, how your life can become easier, how you can, hear the clear messages so that you can follow what's your highest purpose. I think that's all. I don't want to make this video too long. Ooh, it's already 24 minutes. So I hope this helps someone. If you have any questions at all, or want more information about it, because this is really surface info, just let me know, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. Take care and talk to you soon.